Welcome to Carleton's Math Corner. Today we're going to be talking about equivalent fractions. In our last few videos we've talked about fractions. We were introduced to them, as well as we've talked about greatest common factors. So trying to find the factors of numbers. And at this time, will you please make sure you have a math journal out and then something to write with, as well as your vocabulary packet. I'm not sure how much truth there is to this, but I thought it was just I put a smile on my face. So I wanted to share this with you. Let's review. First of all, let's review what greatest common factor is, because we're going to use this knowledge to create equivalent fractions. And so looking at this, we have the greatest common factor of 18 and 48. And remember, factors are numbers that we can multiply together to get another number. And so 1 times 18 gets us to 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. And then these are all the factors or numbers that we can multiply together to get 48. And 6 is highlighted because that is the greatest one they share together. They share a 1, they share a 2, they share a 3, and they share a 6, and 6 is the largest one. So that is called the greatest common factor. Okay, so today we're going to be working with fractions, and just to remind you what a fraction is a number that represents a part of a whole. And so we were introduced last time to this is the numerator. That's the top number, and then denominator is the bottom one. It's down in the basement. And so here's the part is the numerator, the whole is the denominator. Now today our target is that we are going to use common factors to write equivalent fractions in simplest form. And let's actually talk about what equivalent fractions are. Equivalent fractions are fractions that have the same value. So like 1/3, 2/6, and 4/12. If you notice, each of them have the same value that is shaded in blue. They each have the same amount. Okay, if you notice the same shape of a rectangle, same amount that's shaded in blue. And so they share the same value. The other thing that they share is they share common factors. They share the greatest common factor together. 1/3, 2/6, and 4/12. We can actually divide each of them by a greatest common factor, and 4/12 and 2/6 can reduce down to 1/3. And so they share that factor and have that in common. Now, simplest form, which we're going to be doing today, is basically to take a fraction and we're going to reduce it. So like 4/12. I can actually reduce this down to 1/3 by finding a greatest common factor that 4 and 12 share. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. But reducing into simplest form basically means that when we get down to simplest form, the greatest common factor that the numerator and the denominator will share is 1. For instance, the number 1/3, we have 1 as the numerator, 3 is the denominator. The greatest number that they share together, the greatest factor, is 1. And I'll show that to you in just a moment. So let's look at a fraction. Okay, we are going to find the greatest common factor that they share, and we have actually listed all the factors already. And at the beginning I showed you, so 18, these are all the factors, 48, here are all the factors, and they shared a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 6. So I'll go back to this, and so these are the factors they share. And so we need to choose one to divide by. Now the best one to choose is the greatest one that they share, and the greatest one they share is 6. And so I am going to take 6 and I'm going to divide 18 by 6 and 48 by 6. so that I can get down to the simplest fraction, the simplest amount for the numerator and the denominator. And so let's take 18 divided by 6 is 3. 48 divided by 6 is 8. Now, if I look at 3/8, I know that the only factors that I can get to 3 are 1 times 3. And the only factors that I can use to get to 8 is 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. And if you notice, looking at these factors of these two numbers, I can see that the only numbers that they share, well, the only number they share is 1. And so at this time, I know that 3/8 is in simplest form because I can't divide it any further. If I divide it by 1, which is the only factor they have in common, I would get the same answer of 3 and same answer of 8. Okay, and so I know that I can stop, and this is simplest form, 3/8. So 18/48 is equivalent to 3/8. So let's look at another example. Okay, so write the following fractions in simplest form using a common factor. So given number 1, we have 81/90ths, and we need to figure out, okay, so what are some factors of 81? What are some factors of 90? And so let's start thinking of 81. I can do 1 times 81. I can do, well, does 2 go into 81? I can even take a calculator. So watch this. If I take a calculator, I can go 81 divided by 2, and look what happens. I get a decimal. I don't want any decimals. I want whole numbers. That's how I know that they are a factor of 81. And so 2 does not go into 81. Let's try 3. 3 divided by 81. Let's try it. 27. Ah, that works. So 3 is a factor, and the number that I get is 27. How about 4? Let's try 4. So take 81 divided by 4. Ah, decimal. I don't want any decimals because that's not going to create a nice rectangular array. I need whole numbers. So 4 doesn't work. How about 5? 5 doesn't work. Nope. 6. Nope. 7. Nope. 8. And some of these you may know already that they're not going to work, but I'm just testing them out. So let's try 9. Bingo. 9 divided by 9 is 81. Now, since I know that it's 9 times 9, that's 81, I basically am going to start repeating numbers now. Once I get to the center where a number starts repeating, which we have 9 times 9, well, that's a repeat of a number, I know that we have all the factors. And so I'm going to stop. And so that's the factors of 81. How about 90? Well, we have 1 times 90. What else? 2 times 45. How about 3? 3 times 30. 4. Does 4 go in there? Well, let's try it out. We have 90 divided by 4. Nope. How about 90 divided by 5? Well, it ends in a 0. Usually numbers that ends in a 0. Yep, that works. So 90 divided by 5. So let's put 5. And we got 18. How about 6? Does 6 go in there? 90 divided by 6. Yep, that works. So let's put 6. And we got 15, or no, 16. Do we get 15? 15. Okay. Then 7. Let's try 7. Nope. 8, nope, and lastly 9. And we know 9 goes in there. It goes in there 10 times. And so notice I start repeating numbers now because I got to 9, 9 times 10, and then I would start repeating all these numbers. So I'm going to stop. And if you look at all the factors of these two numbers, do you notice any numbers they share? Well, they share a 1, they share a 3, they share a 9, and anything else? Nope, that's it. So the greatest number they share is 9. So I'm going to use the 9. And I'm going to divide 81 by 9 and 90 by 9. And so I get an answer of 9/10. And I know that the only number that would go into 9 and 10 that they would share, like this same factor, would be 1. And so I'm going to stop, and that's my answer of 9/10. Now, those of you, if you chose a smaller number, a smaller factor they share, that's okay. Like they share a 3. Look what happens. If I put a 3 in there, I get 81 divided by 3, I get 27. 90 divided by 3, I get 30. Well, I actually know that 27 and 30, they both share a factor of 3 again. So I am going to actually divide by 3 again. 27 divided by 3 is 9. 30 divided by 3 is 10. Look at the answer I get. I still get 9/10. So it's okay if you choose a smaller factor that they share. The only thing about that is that you will be dividing probably a couple times to get to a simplest form, and that is okay. You'll still get the same answer though, okay? Now, let's say we have 56/70 seconds. I'm going to actually give you a moment to see if you can figure out what's a number that they share. It could be the greatest number they share, which would be the best factor to choose, or you can choose a smaller one that they share. Okay, 56 and 72. The greatest number they share is an 8. So that's their greatest factor, greatest common factor. And so 57 divided by 8, or 56 divided by 8 is 7. 72 divided by 8 is 9. So in simplest form, when I reduce it, it is 7/9. Now those of you that chose, like they both share a 2, you could have started off with a 2. Look how many times I'd have to divide. 56 divided by 2, and these I got 28 and 36. Then I know that 2 goes into both of those again, so I divide by 2 again, I get 14/18. And then I divide by 2 again because 2 goes into both of those again. But look at my answer at the end. I still get 7/9. So it's okay to take this road, or this use a smaller factor. This path still will get you the same answer. Okay. How about 121 1/32? What number would both of them share? Those of you that said 11, nice job. If I divide both by 11, I get 11/12. And that is really, they don't share any factors except for 1. So I know this is in simplest form. What I would like for you to do for tomorrow is to write the following fractions in simplest form. And you can use the greatest common factor, or you can just use a factor that they share and just keep going until they only share a 1 as a common factor. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me at Carleton's Math Corner, and I look forward to meeting with you again. Have a good evening.